Wait 1 second. I gotta.
This is Tommy. Tommy's a longtime subscriber of the channel and also one of the owners of Overcast, which is a really cool music video production company. And today he's coming on the show to share how he did this cool effect for one of the artists that they shot, Alden, in his music video, Denial and Acceptance. So we're going to be diving into After Effects, breaking down the whole effect. I learned a lot. I'm sure you will too. So grab a snack and let's get into it. Okay, yeah. Why don't we jump into what do you got for us today?
Yeah, well, so I recently did this music video for this artist Alden, who's super dope, and I did a kind of 2-in-1 music video for him. And I recently went out and saw this movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was awesome, great movie. And the movie was actually edited by 5 VFX artists. That was it. It was like a really small team, and a lot of the stuff they did was instead of using a lot of 3D techniques, they used a lot of 2D techniques. So I took some inspiration from that, and they have this really cool glass cracking scene where the screen basically gets cracked, and then all of a sudden you have like a split diopter shot of 2 separate shots that are kind of contrasting together. So I mimicked that, and it was a lot of fun, and it looks really cool. So
cool. So what are we looking at right now?
Right now we got two of the clips that we're going to be using to create the split diopter shot. So we have this top one and then this bottom one. We're going to start with this bottom one, and this is going to be kind of like the lead-in, and we're going to have that come in, and just basically we're going to find a spot that we like, that, like, let's say right about here where there's a flash. So if I just drop the opacity real quick, just so you can see, he's kind of grabbing his head in both the shots. Yeah. So
where did that flash come from?
So the flash was kind of something that we shot in camera. So I can just play through the clips really quick,
sure,
just so you can see both of them. But it's pretty much, we literally just shot on a white screen and just had a light up here shooting on him that was flashing.
Oh, okay. So like a strobe,
that shot.
Sort of.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's just a strobe. And then this is the same thing, just without a strobe. So this one's supposed to be less chaotic, and then this is the more chaotic side.
Okay, so that's like 2 versions of the same shot.
Exactly. And they're basically, they're supposed to contrast each other when we split them in the middle. So probably right here is where I want to start the split. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this clip over. This is going to be our lead in. So it's going to lead in, and then it's going to split into this. So how am I doing so far?
Great. You're doing great.
Okay, cool.
So just walk us through the steps then.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to grab this glass cracking shot that I have. It's really just, I ended up making this one myself, but you can find these online. They're all over the place. But it's pretty much just a glass cracking overlay.
How did you make this one? You recorded it?
No, so I just took like 3 or 4 different ones I found online, and I put them together. So what I did is this one right here, the static one, is just an image that I masked and just had it crack out from the middle. And then I just overlaid some extra shards and just some extra things that are going to give it a little bit more of like a explosion feel. Like I said, you can basically find these online. I just was being very nitpicky.
Yeah, this is cool. So you can download like PNGs and resources and stock sort of things. Yeah. And this could be like a whole separate tutorial, but I've seen stuff like that. Yeah. It's pretty, there's a lot of them. I went through a bunch of different ones before I found one that I liked, but yeah, for the sake of time, it's really just stock footage at the end of the day. Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm basically just going to line that up with where I want this second clip to go. And I'm just going to scale it so I get it to a place where we can use these lines right here as the way to split up the shots.
So this shot was already transparent.
Yeah, so this shot was already transparent. If not,
we could use a blending mode like screen, right?
Or you can always do add, lighten, screen. Any of those really work, as long as there's it's a matte black in the background.
Cool.
But I'm just going to go ahead and scale this and just change the position a little bit till I get it to somewhere where I want. Maybe do like 165.
Yeah, and you're just dragging with your mouse, but if not, you could always just drop down the property, right?
Yep. Yeah, you can always go to position and just adjust it this way.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, sorry, there's some things I just do.
Oh no, you're fine. I'll be the viewer in this case who might have a question.
Okay, awesome. So now I'm going to go over to effects and presets. I like putting a blur on this to get the reason I added these little tiny shards that are flying through is because I like using something called camera lens blur. And this is stock, so you can definitely use this if you have After Effects. And I pump this pretty high. I pump this probably to about 75. So that way it just creates like little bits of hexagon bokeh and just gives it like as if it's the actual lens that's cracking.
Yeah, that's a good technique too, like blurring a PNG like that. That way there's depth to it. It looks like it's really in the shot and the camera's focused.
Yeah, exactly. To me, the best thing with After Effects is like the ability to make 2D things really look like they're in there. And that's really just about correctly blurring and like obviously correctly leveling everything. But yeah, so anyways, I just added a camera lens blur. I'm just gonna unhide everything, just close this down. So pretty much just gonna have, that's what it looks like played out.
Yeah.
So
we just basically added the overlay and the other clip.
Yep, exactly. So now it gets down to building out the actual split diopter shot. So I'm gonna go in a little bit. I'm gonna go back onto the glass shot. I'm just gonna turn off the camera lens blur just so we can properly see the lines when we're creating these masks.
Yeah, that's a good tip. You can always hide and unhide things like when you're in the middle of working and then unhide them later.
Exactly. Yeah. It's good to like not push your computer too hard. Like I'm in quarter right now because it's, you know, I don't need to have it at full render while I'm doing these little tiny things. So yeah. So we're gonna take the top clip. We'll do the top clip first. We're gonna either press Control D or you're gonna come up to layer, edit, and then duplicate. And we're gonna do that twice. So we have 3 of the top layers. I'm just gonna switch the color on this just so people can see it.
Sure, yeah, you're just changing the label just for organizational purposes.
Yeah, exactly. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut these, create masks so each of these shots have different places. All right, so first what we're gonna do is we're just gonna create the movement of the shots cracking and adjusting. So we're gonna take this top clip, we're gonna press P, or if you want to come over to the side, a little drop down menu and click on the keyframing icon.
Yeah, that's cool. So P opens position. I'm assuming S, R, O opens like scale, rotation. That's just a quick way to get to what you want.
It's good to have all those handy, especially when like I'm editing on my laptop right now. So I have this one screen. So it's like, it's good to just only have position up. That's all you need. So what we're going to do is we're pretty much going to change the position of this, and we're just going to have it over the course of, let's say, let's have it start like 2 frames in because the initial crack is just at this bottom part. So about right here, we'll go 1, 2, 3 frames. And then we're just going to move this. So it's a little bit offset. So it's just a little bit offset from the middle, because basically what we're creating here is these different shards that are eventually going to come out. And we'll go ahead and mask these after, but it's just best to do the position first, just so you have a good idea of where to mask. So we're going to move that one, and then we're going to go back up here, press P, and do the same thing, but this time I'm going to have it come even lower. I'm going to have it come all the way down here. Cool. So now I got my base shot, I have my side shot, and then I have one more. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this one that's right here, and we're going to basically, we can go in a few frames just so we can see where the line is. We're just going to create a mask by pressing G or coming up here and clicking on this icon, and just creating a rough mask around where the glass is going to be. So cool. Yeah, so I'm starting with this second one first. So this one's right here. So now if I isolate it, it's just this part right here. Yeah.
So you're just isolating it, just sort of, it's the same as visibility, just to see what's on that layer.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna do the same thing with this one down here. So we're gonna press G again and then create our mask. So basically what that creates is these kind of offset split diopter effect, right? And it kind of just, it just makes it look like the glass is actually reacting with the footage. So that's why I really like doing it. I'll just play it through just so you guys, just so everybody can see. It's really slight, but you get a little bit of movement.
Yeah, you can see the separation where the hand is.
Go frame by frame, just so
it's sort of like a displacement type of effect.
Exactly. So we're just gonna, it's literally just that.
But it's like a custom displacement.
Exactly. So we have to remember that this glass effect is going to have this really heavy blur, and if you have that heavy blur, you're going to see these lines. So what you're going to want to do is go back into both of the clips. You can press M to pull up mask, click this little drop down menu, and then we're just going to put the mask feather to like 200. You can kind of just play around with it. You can do whatever. I'm going to isolate it again just so you can see, but it's pretty much going to create this soft edge to everything. So you can kind of, these are parameters you can kind of just mess with. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to go in and do the same thing on this clip, just changing the mask feather. And then, so now if we take a look at it with the blur on, you kind of get this like overarching, like, you know, it's blurred, but it's kind of not. Yeah, it looks really cool. Yeah, we'll just play it through just so we can see. And we're just going to take this base clip now. And that's just the one that we haven't touched. And I'm just going to create a mask right down the middle. I'm going to turn this glass shard back on. We're going to create a mask right down the middle, pressing G, and just come down here.
And for anyone who's masking, they can always adjust the composition size. Like right now you have it at 25%, right?
Yeah.
So you can always like zoom in or out if you can't reach like the edge that you want, or zoom in, you know, if you want some specific detail.
Yeah. And for anybody who likes shortcuts, if you have a mouse and you hold down middle click on a PC, you can just grab the whole frame. So that's really cool. So then once again, I'm just gonna I'm just adjusting the mask again. So it has that 200% little blur.
Yeah. I think here you can really see what it's doing with the light and dark.
Exactly. And then once you have that on, it creates, that little like blending effect. So yeah. Once again, you can adjust these how you want. I kind of just like how this looks, but you can also, you know, bring this clip all the way down if you want and have it be like an entirely different part. It's all subjective to however you want it to look, which is what's really cool about this effect. Is it's pretty basic at its core, but you can get really stylized and do some really cool stuff with it. Yeah. So pretty much I'm going to do the same exact thing on the other side. I'm just going to take these clips that we just worked on and just hide them. And we're just going to work on this clip now.
So, one thing that for everyone, like, you're basically, whenever you want to work on a certain clip, you're just always making sure to go highlight that layer. Yeah,
so we're basically just going to be working on this base clip now. So this is the leading clip that we originally had. I hit all these clips of the second one by just using, you know, the eye tool. And we're just going to do the exact same thing on the left side now.
And you're holding shift to highlight multiple layers at once.
Right? Yeah. So I click on the top one, hold down shift, and then click at the bottom, and that'll allow you to highlight multiple clips. So I'm going to go back to the glass shard, come up to the effects control, turn that off again, just so we can see the lines again. And we're going to do the exact same effect on this left side. So once again, Control D, or come up to Edit, Duplicate. We're going to do that twice. So we have 3 clips. And we're going to go and do the positioning thing again. So let's say right about here. We're going to press P, or if you want to just come to the drop down, go to under Transform, and the position's right here. And then we're just going to be clicking on this little clock, little keyframe tool. And then we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go over 1, 2, 3 frames. And we're just going to position change. So we pull it over here, and let's go down a little bit.
Yeah. And you can see that line that's created like from the starting point to the final point. Exactly. Between the 2 keyframes.
So a good thing to note here is that it's going to be conscious of where the clip ends. So this clip, if I zoom in here and just scroll over, you can see this harsh line. So what's a good thing to do is just come over to the scale, and we'll just adjust it. I'll just put it up to 70 for me. And that way it should fit all in, but it's still displaced from the original shot. So we're going to close that. We're going to go to the other duplicate. I'm going to just hide this one. we just worked on it. And do the same thing, press P, and then click on the little stopwatch. This is where we want to start. So we're going to leave the normal position here and then go forward 3 frames, 1, 2, 3. And we're just going to do the same thing and just drag it down over here. So we'll do like that. I think that should be good. Cool. Now we're going to go through and just do the exact same thing we did last time. Come up to the tool icons up here, click on the pen tool, and we're just going to come through and make the mask again. So we got that one. I'm going to press M, or if you want to just come to the drop down, go to masks and put the feather to 200. Close that one up, and now we'll work on this other one. I'm just going to bring it on top just so we can see it. Same thing, go in with the masking tool and just create a mask around it.
Yeah. And another option, like next to feather too, like do you ever do the mask expansion thing?
Yeah, I sometimes do. For this, you don't really need it. It's really just, you just need to feather.
Yeah. Just if you ever want to like bring it one way or the other from the line, that's like another option, is like if you want to bring it more to the left of the line or the right of the line, I guess you could expand or contract.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
If you messed up a little.
Exactly. Cool. So now I got these two split this split diopter, and make sure the feather's good. Okay, cool. So and now what we're gonna do is kind of just go ahead and turn on the other top 3 layers by pressing Shift on the top one, or clicking the top one, holding Shift, and then clicking the bottom one. And then we're gonna come over to the eye tool and just make them visible again. So a good thing to remember is also to cut these clips, these top 2 clips, since they aren't the base clip, by just dragging them over until when they actually are going to come out. So I'm just going to go and turn the camera lens blur on again, and I'm just going to play it through just so you can see. And now we're just going to go in and just add a little bit of stylization things that are just going to make it come to life a little bit more. These are just the things that for me really push it over the edge when I'm making music videos and help stylistically make it appealing and all of that. So we're going to start by going ahead and grabbing the entire clip. The entire, like all the clips. So we're going to grab the top frame, and then we're going to hold Shift and go down to the very bottom one. And we're going to right click and we're going to pre-compose. And we'll just call this glass shattering pre-comp.
So what this does is sort of groups them all into their own nested layer that you can edit.
Exactly. So now if I want to, I can double click on this and it'll open up the previous thing that we were working on. And if I go back up through this little tree node, I can go back to where we were. So we're going to add in, we'll start with a shake. I think that's the easiest thing to knock out. So we're going to go ahead. This is right where it starts to crack. So it's 14 frames in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my effects and presets, and I'm going to type in slider, and we're going to drag that over. You can either put it directly onto the clip, or you can put it in the effects controls, or you can just double click on it, as long as you have the layer highlighted.
Yeah, it wasn't letting you
highlighted
the layer. Yeah.
Yes, you got to make sure that's highlighted. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come over to the layer settings, a little drop down menu, go over to transform, and we're going to do a really short, easy, quick expression. So you're going to hold down for Windows. It's all, I'm not sure what it is for Mac.
I think it's option.
I think it's option, yeah. And then you're just going to click on the keyframe icon. And we're going to do a really simple wiggle expression here. So we're going to type in wiggle, parentheses, 10, and then a comma. And then we're going to come over to this little pick wick. So make sure that this is still blinking. And you're going to just click and hold, and you're going to drag it all the way up to the slider. And voila, you're done. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. So just to explain to everyone what's going on here is like this little box is the expression box, and it allows you to So wiggle. So the 10 represents, is it the amount of wiggle, right?
So yes, it's the amount, and then
And then
the
the comma,
slider.
the second value, represents the
I
pos
think
the
it's
like parameters of it, right? Like how far it
yeah,
wiggles. Or no,
yeah,
the first one is how many wiggles per second, right?
yes, and then the second one is like the amplitude. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
know that if you ever go to that like little play button on the position, that
Oh, is it?
it has like a lot of
Oh,
sort
I
of
didn't
like
even know
templates. If
that.
you go to property, I think in property there's a wiggle template. Yeah, and
So it's frequency and then amplitude.
yeah, and then you
So
can add octaves
got
and
you.
time, but those are like extras. But basically frequency, amplitude.
Yeah, got you. So the 10 represents frequency, and the slider is going to be your amplitude.
Yeah, but this is a really useful tip for anyone, like just to see like different bass expressions. And
Yeah,
then you have this slider thing. So instead of just inputting a value for amplitude, you're going to animate it with a slider.
exactly,
So let's see
exactly.
how that works.
So I'm gonna click away here, and I'm just going to just for the actually, yeah, it's all good. So I'm gonna come up here. I'm gonna click on the keyframe icon, and then I'm going to. So this is really useful, and I didn't know this for a long time. But if you press U, it pulls up any animated keyframes. So that's a really cool shortcut if you know that. If not, just come in, and if you just go to under effects, under slider controller, it should be right here.
Yeah, that's actually
So
pretty cool to see how like different editors edit because
yeah,
I never really do like the P and S, but I might start doing it because I normally just drop down everything and find what I want. But
yeah, it's
that's good to
just
know.
it's easier if you want to have your editing window, this window down here, be as small as possible. Because so right now I have it down, and there's like you can see all this stuff, but if I just press U, it's only the slider one. So it just makes it easier to see when you have a bunch of layers.
Yeah, it can get
Okay,
messy, especially on a laptop.
exactly. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like traveling right now, so I'm like doing this not on my actual setup. So um okay, cool. So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and keyframe up. So let's start it like a frame before because it's at 0. And then we'll have it immediately. Well, I don't know, we'll go like 1, 2 frames up, and we'll have it, let's do something like 65. So we get like a lot of movement. And then we'll go towards near the end and just put it back to 0. So I'm just gonna play this through just so you guys can see. And yeah. So it just gives like a little bit of like a shake right when it happens.
And just for anyone who's interested in all this, I do have a full tutorial on like the basics of all the different expression controls and just basic expression things if you're interested or confused about these because they're very powerful tools in After Effects.
Yeah, I was very scared of them for a while, and then I like started learning them, and it's much better knowing them than not. Cool. So yeah, that's pretty much the shake. I'm gonna go in here and we're gonna pre-comp it again. So I'm gonna click on the layer, click pre-compose, and make sure to move all attributes into the new composition. I very rarely leave them. I always move them. It pretty much just takes any effects that we were working on up here, and it just puts it inside of the pre-comp that we're going to have. So pre-comp,
Yeah.
move all attributes, and then shattering, shake. So now this is where you're getting into much more actual stylistic stuff. But I still think it's pretty necessary for the tutorial, but obviously, whatever, I mean, edit how you want. But we're going to go in, we're going to do a chromatic aberration. So that sounds a lot scarier than it is. It's actually very easy. So you're going to start with your clip. You're going to either press Control D or come up to edit and then duplicate, and you're going to do it twice. So you have 3 clips total.
Also, a quick question, like why pre-compose again? How come you couldn't just do this all on the shake one?
So to me, it just feels cleaner when you do it on a new pre-comp. I guess you technically could do it on the shake, but I just don't want to like mess with anything that potentially might be there.
I see. So it's like an organizational preference.
It's more of
Almost.
like an organizational thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
It's
sometimes you might mess with other effects or something. Yeah.
exactly. And to me, it's better to be as organized as possible with these and know your workflow than to like just do things and then get mixed up. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, because these comps get really like the actual comp I have for this for the very final. I do all these little tiny tweaks here and there, and it's a mess. So,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna go up to the effects and presets. We're gonna add a channel mixer real quick, and we're gonna apply that to every single one of them. And pretty much what this is going to do is make it so we can isolate colors. So on this channel mixer effect, you have red, green, and blue. So if we put the red and the green down, we're gonna end up with blue. I'm gonna come over and hide this layer and look at the next one. And we're gonna leave green up this time. So put the red to 0 and the blue to 0. And now you get green. So you guys can just copy these parameters.
Really cool. Yeah, basic color theory. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to go to the very bottom one, and we're going to leave red on. So take out green, take out blue. Cool. So now we have these three. What I'm going to do is go into the mode. You can either go in one by one, or you can click the top one and select them all, go to mode, and click lighten. So now it's all gone. It looks like it's all disappeared and everything, but it's not. Because what this allows you to do is if I were to go into the position keyframe and just offset it a little bit, you're going to get, I'm going to scroll in here so you can see, zoom in, this like chromatic aberration look. So that's very cool.
Yeah. I guess if you move this is showing the red and yellow, but if you move the other one, yeah, it's going to show the green and blue or something.
Exactly. So we're going to go ahead and just keyframe this just so we have a little bit of style with it. So we're going to select, we'll select the top two, press P to pull up the position, or you can go through the drop down menu, whichever you want. And we're going to go in 1, 2, 3, and we'll have this be the maximum. So what we're going to do is just shift the position a little bit this way. And we're gonna grab this bottom one and shift it a little bit the other way. So I really only moved it like a few pixels, but we're getting this cool edge effect. I like the yellow and the blue. I like how that kind of looks. So we'll just keep that. But yeah, you can just play around with the position and get different colors and all that stuff. And then we're gonna go down to, we can go to the last frame, and we're just gonna move them back a little bit towards the center, just so we don't have, just so the effect isn't overwhelming and we still get an overall like effect going on.
Yeah, so it's sort of like it's gentler. If you ever want to reset the parameters, can't you right click reset or double click? Is it?
Yeah, you can right click and then click reset,
and it'll add a keyframe for the back to 0 sort of thing. Because it's hard with the X and Y to remember.
Yeah, it's hard with X and Y to remember, but like I said, if you just switch the X, I still have a little bit going on just stylistically. I just want to have a little bit because I think it just adds a little bit. And I'm just going to drag these two keyframes just a little closer. But yeah, it pretty much just creates like this cool like glass shattering hitting effect. Yeah, it's overall looks good.
And now that you've separated all three in that way with the channel mixers, not only could you just adjust the position, you could also just add a blur, right? And a blur would also create a difference of edge. And also one more thing I think is a related effect. Have you ever played around with the VR effects?
I think a little bit, but not too much, to be honest.
There's another one that has like a chromatic aberration VR. It's a little weird because I think they're meant for 360 shots, but and they require GPU acceleration.
I don't know why I don't have that on.
But they do a similar thing.
Gotcha.
But the way you've done it is cool too, because it allows you some more flexibility with, like, let's say you wanted to add an expression similar to the shake on one of the color channel layers. So just pointing out that there's like always cool different ways to do stuff, and different ways lend to different like flexibilities.
Yeah, and this is the part of like the VFX shot that you can really like make it your own. and can really adjust things so they look how you want them to, and all of that stuff. So this is where you get to like express like what you want it to look like a lot more. So there's a lot of things you can do. Like something else I like to do is if I go over to layer, new adjustment layer, or Control Alt Y, and then I'm going to go ahead and just add a CC radial blur. To me, this is just a cool, and you're going to leave it on scratch. And this is also a keyframing thing. Get the amount. Once again, this is more of just stylistic, but it's what I think looks really cool. So you're just going to go over 2-3 frames, and let's just have this go up to like 4, or like we'll do like 2.5.
Yeah.
I like scratch and rotate for this type of effect. It's just like a little like off-putting. And I think it looks really cool. And yeah, so once you get it how all you like, you can, like I said, you can come in, you can do more chromatic aberrations, you can do different like shards, like creating different brightnesses, or you can even do like
color
a shockwave
and stuff.
Yeah. What you want to do, like I'll just throw a little lumetri color on it just so we can see a little bit of what we got going on here. So with a little bit of contrast and a little more color, you can see it really come into life, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And Justin, you brought this up about like the edges being, you can like see the edges. The best way to fix that, and the easiest way to fix it, is just do the same thing you've been doing with pre-comping, and we'll name this final glass breaking, and we'll just come over into transform, and we'll just scale it up to like 103, 104 maybe, and no more edges.
Yeah, it just depends on the amplitude of the shake, and that fixes it all.
Yep, exactly. And
that's a common trick and tip to keep in mind for any effect that takes you off the edge a little.
Yeah, and normally if you're zooming in like literally 4%, you're not going to get much quality loss. So yeah, awesome. that's kind of the effect.
Awesome. Yeah. So thank you so much for teaching us. There's so many little tips and tricks. It's almost like a little master class just in one effect.
Yeah. Check out Overcast. You can look us up on YouTube. We do music videos and stuff like that. And follow me on Instagram. It's at Fixed for Tommy. Awesome. I do a lot of cool stuff like this. And
I'll leave all the links to everything. Yeah. Thank you for watching. And then thank you for coming on the show and sharing your own tips. So
hell yeah. It's been very cool to be able to, talk to you and work with you on this. Cause like I said, like I learned a lot of my very basic stuff like from you. So I appreciate you. And